And let's get started. Good morning and welcome to today's webinar on navigation and helpful features. My name is Jamal and today I'll be guiding you through a session on different ways to ensure that you're getting the best out of your priority system and utilising tricks to make your priority experience more efficient. What we'll be looking at today. Today we will be looking at customising your home screen and forms, quick navigation across the whole system, easy access to data both in and out of priority, and how to speed up your day-to-day tasks within priority using only a few clicks. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to fill out the Q&A box on the webinar and I'll review and answer those at the end. Get started. Let's begin with the priority home screen. This is completely customizable to the user. So we're going to start off by adding tiles to this home screen here. These can be added in two different ways. Firstly, you can scroll through the menus. So for today's demo, we're going to be setting up the system for a new user, a sales rep that's just joined our company. And with that in mind, the examples we're going to use are going to be tailored to that. So what we're going to do first is go to the CRM menu, sales rep, and sales rep. We're going to right click, add to home page, and you can see that that's just added a tile on. Nice and simple, but we'll go through that one more time. So this time we're going to add sales orders, the sales orders, right click, add to home page. So the second way to do it is to use on the right hand side, there's a button with a plus in it, and you can see as you hover over it, it add tile to home page. If you click this, you receive the option to search for any priority entity and add it to the home screen. And then once you click add, it's going to add it to the home screen. So my new member of staff needs a report that they're going to use on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to look for orders per sales rep. Hit search, so search through all the entities in priority. And there we've got orders per sales rep. We can just add that. And because that's to do with sales reps, I can then just drag it, move it next to the sales rep form. So next to that add button is a button to add portlets to homepage. This allows you to add mini graphs that show basic overview live data. For example, open sales orders or open purchase orders. We're working in sales, so let's add the open sales orders. So at the moment, this is being searched by status and it's showing you a value, but there are different ways that you can search through the data. You could go, for example, for customer or part, but we're going to do it by sales rep. If I just go back up to the top, you can see the different options there. And there's sales rep. So now we can see that Alex has the most amount of open sales orders at the moment. Then it's no sales rep, then Heather, then our new sales rep, Tyrone, who obviously doesn't have much because he's new. Now, what is useful about these portlets is that we're obviously not happy that some of these orders have no sales rep. We can literally just click that and it gives us a list of all of the different sales orders with hyperlinks that you can use to just jump through and make sure that your data is correct. Yes. You can also remove these portlets and tiles at will, so you can move them around, but you can also remove them completely, just like that, just by clicking the dots in the top corner and then hitting delete. Next, we're going to discuss favorites. Favorites are a really useful tool that allow us to list very frequently used items. The difference from home screen tiles is that they can be accessed directly from the favorites menu, even when we're already in a form. If we open up the sales order form, you can see that there's still access to a favorites menu here. At the moment, it's empty, but what we're going to do is we can actually click just this star button here, and that will simply add any form that you're in. If you click the star to the favorites menu, you can see that's added it there. We just jump back to the home page. What we're going to do is we're just going to find design, organize favorites, and we're going to add a new menu called sales for our new user. And what we want to do is we want to add some similar forms that we had on the home screen. So we've already got sales orders. So what we're going to do is add sales reps. So we're going to add that to favorites. As you can see, we can click down here, select sales, hit OK. And it's going to add there. Perhaps we want a report as well. Orders per sales rep. Add to favorite. Click down, sales. And maybe we want the dashboard, the sales rep dashboard as well. So same again. Add it through. Hit OK. And now when we go back there, we're starting to see the basis of a useful favorites menu for a sales representative to use in their day-to-day tasks. Obviously, we can add more. I'm not going to do that right now, but we've got multiple target forms and reports in there, plus some programs too. So as we're working our way around the system, we'll access many different entities, and sometimes we don't have access to them from the home screen. In these cases, the recents menus are helpful. So on the right-hand side of the main screen are two lists of quick ways to access your most recent links. At the top is the recent places or recent items you've been. If we look at somewhere near the bottom of ours now, there's one here called invoices per sales rep. Now, this may not be an everyday report for our user. However, they may need to use it more than once on certain days. And rather than have to navigate through the menu, they can use recent places. These are all hyperlinks and will take you to the relevant part of the system. If I click it and start opening it, you'll notice that it's actually jumped back up to the top. So these update as you go on to other forms, with the top of the list always being the most recent. The below list, called latest updates, covers the latest database additions and gives you a quick link to them. For example, a new sales order that we set up for air people that we've added to the system. This one's near the top. If we click it, it's going to take us straight into that sales order. Just exit out of there. So next, we're going to look at how to efficiently navigate around different areas of priority, starting with the active screens function. Just at the top here, if I hover over it, you'll see it says active screens. This is accessed by this button at the top right-hand side of the priority screen. Looks a bit like two monitors overlapping, and often, and in this case does, have a number in the corner. Using this, you can quickly navigate to any open screen with one click and get back to your work with ease. If I wanted to go to sales invoices, for example, I just click it and it will take me there. And even when you're in already, I can move around quite easily. You can save further time by using the button's control and then either the up or the down arrow. And this also gives you access to the main menu and your favorites menu, but also to your open screens. I'm going to go back into the sales order menu. Form, sorry. You can do that without even touching the mouse. A newer feature that comes under this umbrella is the taskbar at the bottom of the form. So down here, we can see three options: recent items, so very similar to the one on the home page; latest update, again, all hyperlinks to where you've been recently; and then there's a second active screens one. This is also available on the homepage, as we've just been through, but with some unique differences. Firstly, you can pin active screens to the right-hand side, making it nice and easy to navigate between different forms and pages with ease. The second difference, if I just unpin it and go back to it just being at the bottom, is that you can see which company you're currently working in on this one, which you can't in the one at the top. This is particularly useful if in your role day to day you work in multiple priority companies and do similar work in each of them. For example, if you do all the invoicing for every company, it's handy to be able to jump back into the correct invoice within the correct company at short notice. Staying on the subject of navigating through the system, you might find yourself going through multiple screens within the remit of your job. I'm just going to open up the part catalogue. So clicking through screen after screen. For example, we've got in the part catalogue here, we've already got some data in. Here's a part, nice and simple. You might find yourself clicking into the parts form using the action button, and then into the inventory parameters for the part, and then into the current warehouse inventory. So you've gone through 4 pages there. Now you'll notice that you get a bread trail at the top left-hand side of the screen. Using this bread trail, you can quickly and easily return to your previous screens without having to use the menu. Be warned though, this is a one-way journey and you'll need to use actions and hotkeys to go forward again. So as you'll see, go straight back, one click back to the part catalogue where you were previously working, but you will need to click through as the first time. And it's not just to go right back to the start, you can go back with each click one by one. So on the discussion of hotkeys, there are some useful function keys that change your views. So we're going to have a look through those next. So staying in the part catalogue for now, we've got the F5 button, which pulls up a list of sublevels. Sorry, bear with me. This is particularly useful when you've got multiple pages of sublevels, which you obviously do in the part catalogue. There's 8 pages of sublevels. We're looking for part remarks, which for your information is on page 5. So we're going to be going fairly far down. And part remarks. Press enter, takes you there a lot quicker than having to scroll through different set of pages. And then we just escape to come back up. Now, another one that you can use is the F12 button, which will take you to the targeted sublevel form without you having to click with your mouse. So at the moment, it's on part remarks. So obviously, when I pressed F12, it took me down there. If I select a different one and come back up to the top and then press F12, that will take me down, as that's now the target subform. We've also got Control plus F5, which is the same as the sublevel F5 button, except it gives you a list of actions as opposed to sublevels. So again, not touching the mouse here, I can just go straight to press enter, part, standard cost. Now I'm going to close this down and open up the customers form. Priority homepage. Get into customers. The next one we're going to look at is F4. Now, what I've got here is selection of data. I'm just going to search by sales rep number 11, which will be useful in a moment. I'm just going to change the view quickly. So what we've got here is a group of customers. They're all sales rep number 11. And we're in the multi-record view, which means I can see everything that I need to see in terms of my list. But I might be interested in this ANT 010. So I can press F4 and zoom into a single record view where I can look in more detail at the different tabs and details about this particular customer, who is Brammer, Buck and Hickman Insights. Plenty of different tick boxes. And you'll find it's a lot easier to view data about a specific customer within the single record view than it necessarily is in multi-record view, even though you can change data in either view. And Yeah, so the multi-record view will give you the list of results for any given search, whether that's by county, rep, like we've done, or simply retrieving all the data. So let's have a look now at how the export to Excel functionality can help us. Our managers informed us that one of our sales reps has left, and due to streamlining, all customers will now be looked after by one sales rep, our new sales rep, Tyrone, from earlier. With hundreds of possible customers, that becomes quite the arduous task. However, we can get it done in under 5 minutes in priority. So we've got our list of customers that are being looked after by Heather. So you can see number 11, Heather. In this example, so we've got that list already. I'm just going to change back to the multi-record view. And I'm going to hit the button Export to Spreadsheet, which is just at the top here underneath the company name. So let's do that. That's going to load up. Open Excel. And we're going to hit Enable Editing. Now, all we need is 2 lines to get us back into priority. First, we need the customer number, which is the unique identifier. And secondly, we need the sales rep number. So get rid of all of this. Just going to delete that. And we're going to change all these 11 to 12, which is the sales rep number for Tyrone. We're going to pull those down to the bottom. And that's it. It's that simple. We then take all this data, copy it with Control-C, and then using Control-B, we can design our form. And we want to move the sales rep number next to the number. So I'm going to stick it up to the top and then move it down 1. Save it. And if you keep your eyes on it, you'll notice that these sales rep numbers are now next to the number. Now, there's 2 different ways of pasting data in priority. So first, we want a nice blank form. You've got the right-click design, right-click, special copy and paste without warning. Now, a slight issue with that is if you're doing a big amount of data that you're putting back into the system, and there are any issues for any reason with the data that you're pasting in, you might have to go looking to see which ones haven't pasted in and which ones have, and then you could be like resorting back to your spreadsheet quite frequently to make sure that that all the right data has gone in. So the second way is simply just to Control-V, like you would elsewhere on a system. And if we do that now, you'll see that it's just updating. And if you start to look over here on this sales rep name, you'll notice the name is changing from Heather to Tyrone for all of these. And you just leave it to get on with what it's doing. I won't bore you by letting you watch it all go. So we're just going to stop that now. But it will just carry on. And at least this way, if there are ever any issues with the data that you're putting in, it's going to give you a warning or an error on the screen. And you can do something about it. And you'll know exactly where you are in your Excel spreadsheet of data because it's going to go chronologically. So sometimes we want to ask another user to look at a record in priority. So let's say we're interested in this cast flow furnaces. We're going to go back into the single record view and we're going to press Control+F. And what that does is it composes a mail. If your system is set up to use Outlook, it will do exactly the same thing, but just in Outlook. Mine's currently set up to do it within priority. What it does is it gives a hyperlink to the relevant bit of data that you want to send to another user or another employee. And then all you have to do is add the to user, that could be somebody in the system, or add an email address if it's someone else or someone who doesn't work in the system with a username. So I'm just going to come out of that. And we're going to open up the sales invoices screen now. Have you ever noticed this bell button next to the share button in next to the share icon in priority. So this allows you to tag a record of special interest, and then using the main bell at the top, which is this one, you can make notes, receive notifications when the status changes, and you can also include other users within this. So I'm going to take this T3. I'm going to mark this as a record of special interest. Then I am going to open this. You can see it's now added sales invoice T3 at the side. I can click the right arrow, and you can see that I've already added Christine to this earlier. So I'm going to send Christine a message. If I can remember how to spell. I can send that there, and then after that sending off, remember from earlier we used F5, so we can use that again. And what I'm looking for is notes. So the power of this is that it's added what I've written with a timestamp and who's written it into the notes section, and that'll always be there, which is really helpful because it means you can keep some traceability on the conversations you're having about a specific piece of work. And that's automatically pasted in. You can go and try that after this session, and it should work for you. In the meantime, I'm just going to, so that automatically updates from time to time, the bell icon. Oh, wow, looks like we've got a message back. I'm going to open that up, and you can see that Christine has responded. Perfect. You can send this to the customer now, and that's not taken very long at all to get a response. Great. And those messages will be pasting into the notes section, which means other users can trace it, and there's always some traceability. Finally, today we're going to discuss record coloring. Record coloring is a way to make your priority pop, and we're going to open the price quotations form. So different colors signifying different results. This makes it easy to visually differentiate between various numerical figures. So if I just pull back my last one, you'll notice here that we've got two different colors, red and green. And if we go across, this is set up on the profit percentage. So if anything under 70% is in red, anything over 100% is in green. And if we, for example, wanted to add another line, just add a general part quickly. One of those. See how good my maths is. I hope this goes blue. Right. And you can see now that if it's between 70 and 100%, it goes blue. So this is done by right-clicking on the line that we want, which is the profit percentage. Right-click, design, define record color. So you can define a new record color if you like, but what I'm going to do is just show the record colors that are already set up. Show current record colors. So there you go, you can see it's between 100 and 150, it's going to go green. That one needs slightly adjusting because it should be 70 to 100, but if it's up to 70, it's going to go red. Now, I'm not 100% happy with that. I think 54% profit margin is okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to change one and define a record color. So if it's between 30 and 70%, I want it to go orange. And you can see that top one now, because it falls within that parameter, it's gone orange instead. You can also use record colors on fields which are text. So what you might have seen earlier is when we were in the sales order form, we had a customer called Air People that popped up very early on. And you'll notice that when we bring them back, this one's in red and this one's in purple. So what we've got is we've got it set up to be purple for Air People whenever Air People comes up. That way, when it's in a list, if they're a customer of high importance, for example, they're easy to pick out of a whole like multi-record view of different things. If I go to F4, you'll see that's the only one in purple. Now, what I've also done is I've added the contact as John Smith. If the contact John Smith, it's going to go red. But if I take that out, ooh, not that one. All right, let me just show you by adding John Smith in this one, that it will go red. And if I take it out again, it'll go purple. You could also highlight these by sales rep, for example, or specific customer groups. A few different ways to do that. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our webinar on helpful features and navigation. Thank you for listening. I'm going to just take have a look at the questions in the Q&A box. So if you want to ask any questions, feel free to add them in. Okay. If you do come up with any questions later on, feel free to email them over. It doesn't seem like, oh, we've got one. Okay, so we've got a question here. It says, hi, can you color draft or prepaid pro forma? I assume that is to do with invoicing. So you can color any status. However, in version 21, Priority have added a built-in feature. Let me see if I can show it to you. On all status fields, where you see this one's in white, but you can change these little dots here to have their own built-in colors. So I could make all of these any particular color, and then they get a dot on the left-hand side with a color. And this is the same for all status fields now throughout Priority as of version 21. But you can do your own manual colors on status fields as well. So yes, is the answer to your question. Okay. Thank you again very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.